Welcome to the world of global payments and the big issues shaping this industry. You're listening to Commonwealth Bank's Global Payments Series with me, Carli Renzi, Managing Director of Institutional Client Coverage at CBA. Scams and fraud cost individuals and businesses billions every year. And with the rise of 24/7 real-time payments, making it harder to recover lost funds, staying ahead of these threats is more important than ever. Last year, we introduced NameCheck, a payment validation technology by CBA, and explored this on a previous episode with Alison Chang, our General Manager of Real-Time Payments. This year, we're seeing a new wave of AI-driven tools, from bots that bait scammers to agentic AI supporting our fraud analysts. To unpack the latest in scam and fraud prevention, I'm joined by James Roberts, General Manager for Fraud and Scam Strategy and Governance at CBA, to talk about the latest technology in scam and fraud prevention. Welcome, James.
Thanks for having me.
As real-time payments become the global standard, this is resulting in a big uplift in customer experience, but also making it hard to stop fraud once it happens. How critical is it to have advanced scam and fraud detection when it comes to protecting customer trust and security?
Having advanced scam and fraud detection has become a minimum standard, almost a non-negotiable, where your bank leverages real-time payments. I think the balance here, though, is that whilst there are risks with real-time payments, we're getting strong signals from our customers, both our retail customers and our institutional customers, that instant access to funds, seamless transactions, and 24/7 availability are really, really important to them. So it's one of the reasons why advanced scam and fraud detection capabilities are absolutely critical. So not just for operational resilience, but more broadly and at a higher level for maintaining customer trust. At CBA, we see trust as our most valuable currency. It's really what underpins our relationships with individuals, institutions, and also the broader financial system.
Last year, we introduced NameCheck, which is a CBA technology that helps validate bank account details before a payment is made. How successful has it been in protecting our customers? And can you tell us about the new AI tools that CBA has implemented this year to address scam and fraud threats?
At CBA, we've had some success in managing fraud and scams. In the last 2 years, we've had a 70% reduction in customer scam losses. And a lot of that is due to some of these AI initiatives that we've implemented. So maybe if I start with NameCheck, which is giving customers that extra transparency of to whom they're paying. It's been hugely adopted by our customers. 111 million times that it's been used, and it's prevented over 880 million in mistaken internet payments and scams. So it's delivered some transformational outcomes for our customers and also for the bank. Stepping into the wilder environment, though, of disrupting scams, one of our most exciting announcements is a partnership that we've struck up with a company called Apate AI. Apate AI is bred from academia through Macquarie University, and they've created truly agentic both voice bots and messaging bots. Now, in the partnership with CBA, we've purchased 10,000 voice bots and 2,500 messaging bots. And this partnership's turning the tables on scammers. It's actually taking the fight back to scammers. So there's 3 core things that this new disruptive technology does for us. 1, straight disruption, interrupting the business model. For every minute that a scammer is speaking to a bot, they are not scamming an Australian. And if you look at sometimes how long the bot will hold them on the call for, our record at the minute is 54 minutes. That's 54 minutes where they weren't hurting and causing harm to an Australian. Second point is insight. Sometimes criminal syndicates pivot, they use new remote access tools. This technology, the bots gather those insights and deliver them in near real time to the CBA fraud department, which means we can pivot our rules, what we're looking for, to try and be closer to just on when they've made those changes in the syndicates. And lastly, it's an area that's difficult for me to speak in depth so that I don't compromise the operational security of what we do. But we do extract intelligence from these calls and messaging chains. So just broadly imagine one call creates one piece of intelligence, but we're able to use that one piece of intelligence to save 10 other Australians. Really gives transformational outcomes and interrupts the very business model that scammers operate under. Another couple of initiatives that we've been working on are in the generative AI internal side, so looking inwardsly to how we manage fraud in both our rules and operations, the people that make the phone calls and work the alerts. So the first one is one that we sort of cutely refer to as Marvin. Marvin's a buddy for our rule writers, our rule authors, our data scientists to help them identify the poor performing rules and models, code for them how to fix those rules, and then the human works in partnership, a hybrid human agentic partnership, to then do all of our standard governance procedures to then deploy the rule. Now, what that really gives us is that, like many of you listening to the podcast, you might have numerous models and numerous rules in place, and it can be very hard to be agile and quickly adaptive to new trends. This makes us faster in that. It also means from a customer experience side that we're faster at eliminating false positives and things that might generate unnecessary friction in the payments process. So very exciting to us. The second one that I mentioned, though, is moving into the operations area, so the people working the alerts. If you think about all the behavioral, device, non-monetary, transactional information that's put in front of these poor fraud analysts, it's a huge amount for them to consume to make the right choices in managing these customer experiences. Essentially, we've made a buddy that goes beside our fraud analysts and tells them, suggests what the modus operandi might be from all the data, highlights what's important, takes away what's not. The findings when we first proof of concept this is now actually in production, but during the proof of concept phase, 50% reduction in the time that it took to work a digital fraud alert, 20 to 30% reduction in the amount of errors that our people make. And what was interesting, because a lot of us do worry about generative AI and the cultural impact. The cultural impact on this was actually net positive. There was a 90+% positive rating from all of the people in our initial pilot study. And I believe that's because you've helped them do their job. You've helped them make it more accurate. You've taken away the menial work from them, left them to make the core human decisions that they're good at. So really transformational for us in terms of operational efficiency.
CBA operates in a financial services industry where competition is a given, but protecting customers from frauds and scams is a shared responsibility. How is CBA collaborating with bank peers to strengthen our defences collectively and enhance prevention across the financial ecosystem?
So I think the first most important point to absolutely reinforce is CBA does not compete on managing fraud and scams. It's a team sport managing them. We are definitely better together and collaborating to help understand what new trends are coming and how to stop them is almost become part of the Australian DNA between the banks. Maybe the best example of that type of collaboration was actually a world first called Biocatch Trust. So a lot of the people listening to the podcast will have heard about Biocatch and the way that they deliver machine learning scores on how the devices are used and what behaviors are used on digital payment platforms. But the biggest problem for fraud and scam prevention SMEs is that while they have lots of information on the sender side of the transaction, they almost have no information on the recipient account and customer side. Biocatch Trust is helping us bridge that gap by, in true real time, before the payment is sent from, say, CBA to another Australian domestic bank, providing machine learning outcome Boolean scores on whether it's likely that account has an account takeover on it. Is there social engineering indicators? What's the money muling risk? What's the network score for that account? That enables us to take a fully considered picture and action before the payment to hold it or decline it if those scores were bad. But the other side of the coin is also true. If the recipient account information shows us that it's a really good account, we might want to take away friction to allow faster, better payment experiences. So that type of cross-industry collaboration is absolutely transformational in how we manage the risk of fraud and scams.
James, from your industry conversations and peer engagements, what are some of the prevailing challenges and themes that organisations are currently navigating in payments fraud and scam prevention?
It's a great question. From a CBA perspective, we've seen a lot of success in suppressing fraud, traditional unauthorized payments. My principal worries and challenges, if you like, for the future rest predominantly in the scams environment. While we talked quite expansively earlier about the use of generative AI and agentic for good, the sad truth is that syndicates are also leveraging these technologies. We're certainly seeing an increase at a more primitive level in the quality of scam content likely produced by generative AI. And then at the more extreme end, the quality of deep fakes often hosted on social media platforms are sometimes sadly of an excellent quality. So we're moving into an environment where for a consumer, it's going to be difficult to differentiate between digital social media platform content that is genuine and content that is fraudulent in nature. Globally, I think this is the biggest challenge that's affecting all of the financial services sectors.
Okay, James, let's have a bit of fun with rapid fire questions here. So first one, real-time payments, more risk or more opportunity?
Okay, I'm going to swing with more opportunity. I'm going to say that on the basis that if you looked at the totality of payments and the percentage of them that are actually fraudulent or scam payments, it is obviously a very thin slice. So even though we need to be super careful and prudent with how we manage that risk, there is a massive opportunity for the vast majority of payments which are genuine for frictionless settlement.
Okay, number 2 here. What excites you most in fraud or scam prevention?
For me, the biggest opportunity in the fraud and especially scam prevention space is disruption. I think it's getting that deep understanding of the commercial models of how criminal enterprises work. And sounds unpalatable, but competing with them like a business. They have desires of certain amount of profitability. If you're able to interfere and increase their costs, it inherently makes your country or your company, for example, far less desirable to them. I think that's probably one of the biggest levers that we have to pull.
It does sound very fun to mess with the bad guys. All right, James, last one. If you could fix one thing in the industry overnight, and we can't be talking about salaries and REM here, so let's go to it. What's it going to be?
I think it would be culture. So the strength of that cultural muscle in collaboration between bank fraud departments is really great. It's been around for many, many years. As an example, I think I've been on the board of the Australian Financial Crime Exchange for maybe 7 years odd. I have first-hand relationships with all the heads of fraud. Where the muscle is weak, though, is in ecosystem collaboration between telcos, digital platforms, and banks. Getting that cultural change where we get used to and normalize working together, sharing data together within the appropriate constraints of the privacy legislation. I think that's potentially that's the next chapter. If we get that culture right, we go a long way to helping solve the problem.
Thanks, James. Appreciate your insights today, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, I really enjoyed chatting. Thanks, Carli.
You've been hearing from James Roberts, General Manager for Fraud and Scam Strategy at CBA. Thank you for listening. Tune in again to hear more insights from CBA's experts on the exciting world of global payments and moments that matter for our clients.
Things you should know. Guests featured in this podcast are speaking from their personal experiences only. As this podcast has been prepared without considering your objectives, financial situation, or needs, you should, before acting on the content, consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. CommBank does not necessarily endorse the views of a particular individual or guarantee the accuracy of the information provided.